National Union of Metalworkers of South Africa and the South African Cabin Crew Association have written to SAA's business rescue practitioners. The unions are demanding meaningful engagement in terms of the Companies Act. NUMSA and SACCA want SAA workers consulted in order for them to make alternative proposals if necessary. This after practitioners announced plans to cut numerous routes. Let's get an update now. Joining me in studio is the SACCA Deputy President, Christopher Shabangu. Bab Shabangu, thank you so much for your time today. Of course, it's the first day of March, which means that the business rescue practitioners are expected to publish the proposed rescue plan insofar as the embattled SAA. And before they do that, you actually want to have a meaningful conversation. Not only that, but be involved in the process as well. Give us the reasons as to why.
Good afternoon, Lucy. So, yes, this is true. SACCA and NUMSA, we believe that the workers, through their unions, should be involved in the creation of the plan. We do not expect or want the business rescuers to come and present a plan that we were not involved in. Now, there are risks with it. The risk of just accepting a plan that, that comes from the business practitioners is that we don't know what would, made up that plan. For an example, there is a plan, or there is a plan that supposedly is going to come from them, and we believe they don't have it right now. And we don't know what's going to make up that plan. You know what I'm trying to say? Is it going to cut routes? Is it going to be, route cutting that's going to be involved? And it seems like that's going to be the plan. And we are saying in SACCA and NUMSA, there's a better plan, which we believe that the business rescuers should, give us a chance so that they can listen to that plan, the Jahana plan we've been talking about so much, because that's going to, reduce the number of people that might be, cut if there's a need to cut the people. But essentially what we say is that any plan that comes out, we should be involved in it rather than just being given a plan. Yes.
Are you perhaps concerned that the rescue plan, what the rescue plan could firstly entail, and perhaps it could be swaying against the workers at SAA?
It's going to be. We're absolutely concerned. We're very concerned because, for now, as we speak, right now we don't have the confidence in the business rescuers themselves as we speak, because as you know, they've asked for an extension until the end of March. Why would you be asking for an extension when you've had so much time? You've been there since the 5th of December 2019, and to this day you're asking for the second extension until the end of 30. So we don't have that confidence.
What do you think is behind the delays? Is it not to find perhaps more information and do more investigation so that they come up with a solid proposal as to how they can take SAA forward?
No, we don't think so. We're saying then, you know what, the airline industry is a fast-moving industry. You cannot keep on, as a business rescue, you cannot keep on looking for those, doing that research that you're talking about. When you have the resources, before you. What I mean resources, we have a plan, we actually proposed to the business rescuers, there is a plan that's going to save SAA a lot of money. The plan that we have, if I may, the plan that we have right now, which is the Jahana plan that we've been talking about, it's the plan that says South African Airways does not necessarily need to spend money. If anything, South African Airways has to go to a joint venture, a 100% joint venture. 100% joint venture simply means that in this, SAA would go into partnership with any willing partner for the period of 5 years, for example, where SAA does not pay for its expenses, but the other partner pays for the expenses. So in that 5 years, it allows that partner to recoup their investment in the 5 years. Now, the good part about that is that you'll be using SAA's metal, you'll be using SAA's workers or employees, and in other words, here you'll be growing the brand within Africa with another partner, which is in this case Ethiopian Airlines, which we've been talking to. Two, the joint venture could be a 50-50% venture, where the costs are shared between the two airlines for a certain period of time until SAA recoups and then in a good state to move on with their business. Now, all of those, this is the plan that SACCA and NUMSA has. It's a plan that you want to give. So we want to know why the business rescuers are not willing to look at a plan that's going to cost them very little and save people's jobs at the same time and grow the airline. And SAA would have a larger footprint within the continent working together with Ethiopian Airlines. It's a business deal that no one can deny except for business practitioners at SAA.
I'm assuming that the BRP has heard wind of your proposed plan. What feedback have they given you? Are they giving you reservations on it, and what reasons have they put forward to you?
None whatsoever so far, because I mean, if they had accepted our deal, at least looked at numbers, because what I've just given you is a high level brief of what the plan. There's bigger strategies behind, more detail in the plan. Why haven't they asked us to come and present it to them? We don't know why. We don't know. Instead, they are more concerned about this plan that's going to cut airlines, cut routes within the country, shrink the airline, use Mango as a domestic, which it makes no sense to us. Our plan, yes, does have Mango playing a part in it, but in a more meaningful way that does not cut people's jobs. Even the domestics, you don't just cut domestics, but you systematically cut them in a way that's going to make money. For example, you can reduce them. You can reduce the frequencies until to the limit where they can make money, not just cut everything. So there is a plan. It exists, and SACCA and NUMSA have that plan. Unfortunately, the BRPs don't have a plan, and they don't want to look at our plan. It's frustrating at this particular moment.
We understand that the BRP has already sent letters to employees just outlining the proposed closure of around 11 routes, which means, of course, less hours and therefore less money for workers. Do you think they're jumping the gun here?
They absolutely are. We told them this the first time. Remember, even when the president said he doesn't agree with the cutting of routes in Durban, yes, they were jumping the gun as far as we're concerned. It makes no sense for South African Airways to cut. And first of all, let me just go back to what you asked. It is quite true that some people have been given those letters where their working hours have been shrunk, where they now have to maybe accept working about 3 to 4 days a month. We as NUMSA and SACCA have told the employees not to sign those papers, not to go that route and not to do that at all, because they're trying to change the workers' conditions, employment conditions, without consulting their unions, which obviously it's supposed to be done that way, not behind the corner. And unfortunately, we haven't been consulted by the PRPs with regards to that, except that we've been told that they're contemplating on doing that, and we are clear enough and said no, we cannot accept that until we have a meaningful engagement with them, which is unfortunately we haven't had that.
And what steps are you willing to take? Let's say, for example, that the BRP is not willing to listen to your proposal of at least being part of that process of drafting this proposed plan. What steps are you willing to take going forward?
We're going to approach the court. Definitely. We have to approach the court because, remember, just a week ago or so, we were in court where we were actually, trying to get the help of the court in saying that, the PRP people are busy now actually invoking or being in a process of the Section 189, where they came and said they were not. Unfortunately, every other action or every except the letters that you're talking about suggests that they are cutting jobs at SAA. Basically, they're unilaterally embarking on a Section 189. So they said no, they weren't. They're not planning to do so. So if they continue to do so, if they keep us out of this process, we can't approach the court. We have a right to actually contribute towards the creation of that plan we believe in terms of the Act, and we have a right, just like any other creditor, to vote on any other plan that should be there. So we're definitely going to approach the court without any doubts.
Yeah, it certainly has been a stressful period for employees, and I just want you to just maybe take a moment as we conclude this interview, just reflect on the challenges of SAA workers, especially those who have received, this letter that says that, there will be less hours, for example, and less days to work.
Yeah. No. From the union's point of view, SACCA and NUMSA here, we can tell you now that we're going to, first of all, we have communicated to the workers that they shouldn't sign those letters. That's the first point. Second point, the workers are not sure what's going on, to be honest with you. Yes, The writing is on the wall that something is going to happen. People might lose their jobs. But we're fighting hard as unions to make sure that it is minimal, though there's minimal impact on that. It's a confusing situation. Yes, right now, recently, the government gives us gives SAA 16 billion. 16 billion again. It's supposed to give hope to the people. Because, 16 billion, capital injection is something that we've been asking for from the government, as opposed to government guarantees, because they're so expensive. Now, they're so expensive to the extent that the 16 billion that's supposed to give hope to the people is now supposed to go and pay for the debt that was created by the government guarantees over the years. So the workers at SAA are not so sure. Very little is giving them hope right now, except to say that we're going to do the best that we can to make sure that South African Airways, or the plan that we have, is actually adopted by the business practitioners, so that at least the workers are safe, at least most of them.
Okay, let's leave it there with you. Of course, that was SACCA Deputy President Christopher Shabangu, just giving us the latest insofar as plans going towards that rescue plan for embattled SAA. The unions are saying they want to be more involved in that process so that